Hunter Biden ignoring Congress, basically just snubbing his nose at them. We have several letters that came out from our friend James Comer on the Oversight Committee. You remember him from the gavel point. We love the gavel point from our friend James Comer, just exercising big gavel energy everywhere he goes. And he did that by sending 3 different letters out to 3 people we've talked a lot about here on this channel. Of course, we've got Hunter Biden, all right? The president's son got a letter from James Comer on the Oversight Committee. We're going to read through the whole thing, and we're going to see what his lawyer said in response. We also have Eric Schwerin, who was Hunter's business partner, along with the president's brother, James Biden, also got a letter from the Oversight Committee, and we're going to go through each one of them in juicy detail. Hunter and his lawyers issued a response, basically telling Congress to pound sand, and Comer appeared on Fox and explained his response to the lawyer's response. And so, as you can see, we have just a ton to get to. And so let's start off with Comer's letter to Hunter Biden. You remember that Comer is on the Oversight Committee. He's the chairman of this thing, and they are going to be overseeing a bunch of stuff, starting with the Biden crime family. And this is what the letter looks like. Sent February 8th, 2023 from James Comer on the Committee on Oversight and Accountability out of Washington. Now, this was transmitted via email to Mr. Robert Hunter Biden. Letter signed, as you can see, by James Comer, chairman on the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. And here's what he says. All right, Hunty. The Oversight Committee is investigating President Biden's, your daddy's, connection to certain international and domestic business transactions and practices, including you and your family associates who peddled influence to generate millions of dollars for the Biden family, Hunter. Evidence shows that you, Hunter, engaged in foreign business deals with individuals who were connected to the Chinese Communist Party, who's ballooning us now, and received significant amounts of money from foreign companies without providing any known legitimate services. You and your associate, because you don't know how to do anything, Hunter. You don't even do anything other than just launder and peddle influence. You and your associates' financial conduct raises significant ethics and national security concerns. The committee requests documents and communications related to our investigation of President Biden's involvement in your financial conduct. The committee is investigating Biden's knowledge of and role in these foreign business deals to assess whether he has compromised our national security at the expense of the American people. Additionally, Hunter, we will examine drafting legislation to strengthen federal ethics laws regarding public officials and their families. All right, pause on this one for a moment. Now, remember previously that one of our strong criticisms here of the January 6th garbage illegally constituted select committee was that they were operating extra constitutionally, that they were sort of taking the role from the executive branch, which the executive branch is the executive branch. They do executive branch things like investigate and prosecute crimes. And the January 6th Garbage Committee was created as a legislative body that was basically acting as a pseudo-investigatory body. It was almost acting like a grand jury panel, and it was creating these weird, bizarre concoctions of like legislative inquiries, pseudo-grand jury investigations, public show trials. They were, amassing all of this into one giant, disgusting pot. And it was very reprehensible, and we criticized them aggressively for that. And, I think that criticism still remains. I still think it's gross that, Congress might be I think the government laser focusing on anybody in particular is sort of a bad, it's like a bad way to run a government kind of a thing. But unfortunately, as we talked about back then, the Republicans have no choice but to play this game. It's unfortunate that these are the rules of the new arena, but these are the rules. They started it. And so they went after all sorts of innocent people, and they used the strong arm of government to do that. And this is the same thing, right? This is the same lever of power. The Republicans have to do this or else they will no longer exist as an entity. And so they're doing it, right? And the vulgar analogy that we like to use here is if you're in a street fight and somebody kicks you in the nads, it may not be the manly thing to do to kick them in the nads back, but you now know that these are the rules that we're playing by. He's a nads kicker. And so, all right, well, we got to kick him in the nads too. And then the next time he knows not to step up and fight again, maybe the next fight we don't have nads kicking in the rules, right? And we sort of change the rules a bit. But until then, All right, you fight fire with fire. The Biden crime family is the biggest national threat, in many people's opinions that we have seen due to the proximity of the malfeasance to the highest office in the country. So, all right, it's like, all right, you get a little bit, this is it. This is the new state of affairs. And I'm happy to see some nice, swift kicks coming from Comer. Just swift, wow, right up there in the nads. Let's see how it goes. We will analyze and make recommendations, says Comer, regarding federal laws and regulations to ensure that financial institutions have proper internal controls and compliance programs to alert federal agencies of potential money laundering activity. Okay, this is the fake legislative purpose, right? It's mostly fake, okay, that's fine. I said the same thing amongst when the Democrats were doing it. Yeah, they should have all sorts of compliance controls and money laundering and all of that crap. Can I tell you something? It already exists. Okay, Hunter Biden has already broken all of the laws. He's already broken all of the compliance programs. He's already broken all of the internal controls and all of the financial institutions. Everybody knows it. Nobody's doing anything about it. All right. So Congress can pass all the rules they want in the world. It's already corrupt and problematic as it is. So what they're doing now is they're saying it's a fake because we're going to investigate you because they really want to go after Hunter, and rightfully so, because we know the executive branch isn't going to do it. We know that it's run by Joe Biden. A little bit of a conflict of interest there, don't you think? Investigating your son. So the Oversight Committee has to do this, and they're having to basically put this in there as a pretext in case this gets, challenged in a court of law. Now, again, on this, I know I'm belaboring this, but this is something that the J6 committee did too. They said when they sent these letters out to everybody and everybody was challenging them in court, all of the courts said, well, it's kind of a legislative purpose. I mean, they can do whatever they want, right? And that's why we had the show trials as long as we did. So we'll see if the court grants the Republicans the same deference that they were granting to the Democrats when they were exploiting the J6 committee. So it continues. It says the Oversight Committee is committed to exposing waste, fraud, and abuse. Great. And your documents are critical to our investigation. Please produce these, Hunty Poo, no later than February 2022. Any document or communication designated classified by any government body or any government agency, we want it. Any communication with Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., James Brian Biden, Sarah Jones Biden between these dates regarding any of these things. So they want Hunter's records, his communication records between Daddy, his uncle, Sarah, about these following items. 1, any domestic or international travel with any government agency, including those trips to China with your daddy. And number 2, any financial activity, bills, credit cards, payments, wire transfers, contracts, QuickBooks, financial spreadsheets, anything about the Biden Foundation, the Penn Biden Center, or any other of these institutions. Wow. So it's a full financial kind of enema going on there. We also have any connection. James Comer wants any connection between Joseph Biden, James Biden, Sarah Biden, and any of the following people. Now, so for those of you out there who may be, a little bit on the left and you're saying, "Oh, this is egregious. This is outrageous." Can I just point out, this is 3 pages. That's it. The letters that we got from Fishing Benny Thompson were dozens of pages, and the list of names were insane. This is like very reasonable. This is like, I don't know, 10%, 20% of what they were asking for. So we want to know about Devin Archer, Jai-Kui Bao. We've got, let's see, any other names stand out here? There it is. Eric Sherwin, any Rosemont Seneca Company, Hudson West Company, Bohai Harvest Companies. These were all the shell companies that that Hunter was setting up in various different locations. Any CEFC entity, and of course, Burisma. Also, any communications between you and any of the individuals. We also want all of your Outlook or Gmail records, your contact list, your contracts, your wire transfers. We want your rent payments. We want your real estate transactions. We want banking records and so on. Comer says, the committee is providing instructions regarding how these materials should be produced. You can send them over to us. And they say, hey, Hunter, by the way, if you're calling up your shredding company after they got done with the Penn Biden Center in Wilmington, don't think about it. Any endeavor to corruptly withhold or destroy documents is violating U.S. code. and we have broad authority to investigate this matter at any time. If you have any questions, give us a call. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer. And please RSVP immediately. So that's the letter that goes over to Hunter. Now, there are two additional letters that are mostly the same that we will fly through. You see here, we've got one to Eric Schwerin, which is Hunter's business partner. And then we'll also see what the letter looks like to James Biden. Now, they're going to be mostly the same, but let's take a quick glance at them. They say, all right, dear Eric, Mr. Eric Schwerin, Hunter's business partner, who works over at the Institute for Ethical Awareness. They say, all right, Eric, here's what we want from you, buddy. We think that you have connections to international and domestic business transactions, that you are a close personal and a professional associate of Hunter. You were involved in relevant companies and investments, and we're drafting this for the same reasons, and they want the same stuff. And you see much of the same names. Devin Archer, Catherine Dodge, Sarah Biden. They want his records as well. Outlook, Gmail, QuickBooks, financial spreadsheets. Any emails, communications in control. We've got all the right to do this. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer. And the last one, this one goes over to Biden's brother, the whole family. February 8th. Drafted to Mr. James Biden, the president's brother. From James Comer, another 3-page letter. Chairman on the Committee on Oversight and Accountability says, all right, bro, we're coming after you too now, buddy. Says you peddled millions to generate millions of dollars for the Biden family. The committee is now interested. We are committed to exposing your oversight and fraud. That's why we need all of these records. All domestic travel, all international and domestic financial activity, the same list of names from everybody else, all documents. And by the way, we have the right to investigate. If you destroy anything, Mr. James, you're violating U.S. law. So 3 letters come out from the Oversight Committee. They look good. They feel good. They make you feel good. You know, it's like, oh, all right, finally, we're going after them. We're getting some action here. Good. Well, let's see what Hunter's lawyers said in response, because they're just basically like, well, you're Congress. What are you going to do? My daddy's the president. My daddy runs the FBI. My daddy runs the DOJ. And so your letters don't mean anything to me. And here's what his lawyers said in response. Hunter's lawyers respond February 9th to the Oversight Committee. Letter goes out via email to James Comer on the Oversight Committee. And they say, all right there, James. You know, they say last night at 8:07 p.m., this is Hunter's lawyer speaking. Hunter's lawyer is named Abe. And so Abe writes a letter back to James. He said, hey, James, I got your letter to Hunter last night at 8:07. And he put in there, just so you know, he's working late. He's like, I'm very irritated. Why are you emailing me so late? He says, well, the letter professes to be a proper exercise of your committee power. Your words actually undercut that propriety. Oh, gosh, this guy. It's going to be a very pompous letter. For example, your letter states that you're investigating President Biden's connections to certain conduct and transactions. Yet in the same letter, listen to this. Yet in the same breath, your letter presupposes near certain conclusions that my client peddle influence to generate millions of dollars for the Biden family. Yikes. All right. So this is pretty rough. This is writing with extra unnecessary rhetorical flourish. Totally pompous. I think not really necessary, in my opinion, with all due respect to these lawyers. Peddling, he says, peddling your own inaccurate and baseless conclusions under a guise of a real investigation turns the committee into Wonderland and you into the Queen of Hearts shouting, sentence first, verdict afterwards. Oh, gosh. All right, so this guy's writing this for the public kind of a thing, right? So he says, as your letter is a sweeping attempt to collect an expansive array of documents and communications from the president and his family, I write to explain that the Committee on Oversight lacks a legitimate legislative purpose and oversight basis for requesting these records from Mr. Biden, who is a private citizen. Well, that's interesting. Did the J6 committee have the right to investigate and demand records from all of the other private citizens that they did? Well, that's curious. Well, then what basis did they have? Oh, it was to prevent another insurrection. Well, so we don't want any national security threats percolating and bubbling up under this administration. So if you want to prevent an insurrection, it's a national security threat. So is peddling influence and generating revenue, trading American national security classified secrets or whatever is being investigated here. So it seems pretty legitimate to me as far as I can tell. While Congress is afforded broad rights, he says, it's not granted absolute and unconstrained power. Your letter explains the committee is going to examine drafting legislation. He says making the statement when all other aspects of your effort undercut that purpose will not satisfy the required basis to proceed. It is more than ironic, he says, perhaps hypocritical. He's musing around in this letter. Like it's a live journal for Republican members who now hold the gavel to declare such a legitimate purpose while in the mind. And they're just run-on sentences too. Look at this. It's not even me. And this is one sentence right here. This whole thing is one sentence. One sentence there. Actually, no, there's a period. This is one sentence. Yeah, there's a period right there. So that's a big, long run-on sentence. So that paragraph has 3 sentences. Very big, long run-on sentences. It's very irritating to read. The past sentiments of the current chairperson of the House Judiciary Committee regarding the Mazars accounting firm. Yeah, so he's billing very nicely for this. I don't even want to know what this letter cost. Hunter paid out the wazoo for this document. And it doesn't even say anything. Your request for the documents from Biden seeks information that is precisely what is prohibited by the Supreme Court. He says Biden is a private citizen. Congress faces restrictive investigative power, right? And we saw, look, the J6 committee was sending letters to Sean Hannity and Sebastian Gorka for just being on the air, right? It was nonsense. So if the J6 committee can do it, well, there must be some precedent for this. And Hunter Biden is in pretty close proximity to a lot of other criminal elements. In fact, he's under actual criminal investigation. So why would this not be the subject, especially if he's exploiting power and all? So, right. So it's a very big, long letter. It's not actually even that good. And it says, rather than engage in a back and forth letter writing, I would offer to sit with you and your staff, including the ranking members, to see whether Biden has information that may inform some. Oh, so he's willing to meet with them. I hope that you will engage in this effort. So he actually is willing to meet with them. That's interesting. But he says it's not actually anything that you're going to get from us. We'll have to wait and see. So that is what the lawyers responded, saying that you're full of nonsense. And we have James Comer, who responds to this over when he's on Fox News. And so Laura Ingraham asks him a question. Hey, they're kind of snubbing you. They're not going to be too cooperative. What are you going to do about that, old James?
Chair of the House, legitimate oversight.
Well, there is a legislative purpose and there's a national security concern. First of all, with the national security concern, we saw yesterday in our hearing with Twitter executives, the laptop is real. And that's a problem for Joe Biden because on that laptop contain, many emails, text messages, pictures showing him right in the middle of all these adversaries in China, Ukraine, and Russia that were paying his family millions and millions of dollars for services that we don't know what they were. We don't know what exactly the Bidens did to earn millions and millions of dollars from our adversaries. And the fact that Joe Biden during the presidential campaign lied about it, then that's a problem. And legislatively, we've got to fix this influence peddling. If we don't fix this, this is only going to get worse. The Democrats complained about it under Trump, and I can tell you, it's a serious problem with the Biden family. So there's a legislative purpose and a national security purpose, and that's why we've requested that information.
Great. And I think that they should get that because the same thing came out from many of the Democrats on the J6 committee as well.
Well, they never showed that the Trump kids were selling access to Donald Trump. That's exactly what the Biden family did. That was the Biden family business model. And it wasn't just with Hunter. It was also with both the president's brothers, but we're just zeroed in on one specifically because we're very concerned about the significant sums of money that came from companies directly affiliated with communist China. So we have specific requests. We have ample evidence, not just on the laptop, but also from people who have come in who were involved in some of those business schemes with the Bidens. So we have people that have told us specific things. There's specific things on the laptop that are very concerning to every American. Every American should be concerned as to whether or not this White House and this administration is compromised because of the millions and millions of dollars that the Biden family's taken in from communist China. The Biden should want to set the record straight. They should want to work with this committee to clear their name, but they continue to obstruct and they continue to do everything in their ability to act like nothing's wrong when we all know that it's very fishy that this family's taken in millions and millions of dollars.
And Hunter is now on the offensive. They have confirmed that the laptop is his. His attorneys sent a bunch of letters and recommendations to different government agents and said, we're very hurt that the laptop leaked. Can you please go investigate people like Marco Polo and Garrett Ziegler and all of the amazing people who do good work actually doing journalism and investigating these things? Hunter and his defense team, they know that they've got daddy just a phone call away. They can just basically snap their fingers, and Joe Biden doesn't know anything. So he just the prosecution that should be happening is not happening. And so Comer is investigating. We'll see what the Republicans can dig up. We'll see if they'll sit down with him or if they will send a subpoena or what the next stage holds. But of course, we will continue to cover it. I hope you join us as we do. Thank you for liking this video wherever it is you are watching it, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.